Hello, welcome to Signal and Noise. How are you guys doing? It's great to be here. It is fall here, episode 5 of Signal and Noise. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, we have a special guest today. It's our first special guest. First off, I'm Brian Lamar, co-host Andrew DeSillis. Hello, sir.
Hello.
This is going to be my favorite introduction because I looked up your job title and it's David Butler, president at PureSpectrum. So I don't think I've congratulated you on becoming president.
Thank you. Yeah, that was at the turn of the year.
Yeah.
That title, but and effectively in charge of the commercials, customers, revenue.
Okay.
Mhm.
You've been at PureSpectrum for quite a while since this.
Coming up on 9 years. Yeah, in
Wow, that's
2016. Michael McCrary, the CEO and founder, started building the technology in January of 2016, and then when we were ready to start selling, that's when I joined.
time flies. That does not seem like 9 years ago.
Yeah, do you guys find it difficult to like COVID used to be a nice anchor pre and
Yeah,
post, but
yeah,
that's gone away too. I can't.
yeah. I've lost all track of time, and I might be getting old or Alzheimer's or something else, but I've lost all track of time. I don't know.
I hope that's not the indicator.
It's
Yeah,
months, it's 10 years. I don't know if it's in between. I don't. It is. I can remember things during COVID and pre-COVID. That's about it.
Well, and it
I,
kind of feels like post-COVID is just bleeding out into normalcy. Like, yeah, I agree. COVID strong anchor. When did that really stop? What's going on in life, in the industry? It's been a blur. I can't believe it's 2025, honestly.
And we're in the back half of it here.
My COVID baby Judah is in kindergarten now, so that makes me feel super old, and definitely a lot of time has passed.
Well,
same.
speaking
I
of,
also
how's
had
your-
one.
David, how old are yours?
I've got 5.5 and 7.5, so
Okay.
kindergarten and second grade girls.
Okay.
Just
What
went to
fun-
Disney. Just went to Disneyland with them. It was my first time there.
Disneyland.
What an operation that place is, and
I know.
and
I don't know many
respect.
people have been to Disneyland. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I had been given advice that was easier to handle, and it's out. Our headquarters is north of LA, so
yeah.
I also piggybacked it on a work trip.
Nice. Good for that's how you should do it. You should bring the family. That's a cross country. You're in LA.
Uh-huh.
Highly recommend. Yep. And you're president. That's the perks of being president.
Well, yeah, it wasn't. I wish it was for research or
Yeah.
Disney was the client or something like that. That was on my own dime, and
Well,
they're very good at collecting dimes there.
regardless, that's a long trip. You should bring your family sometimes out there and get to explore. I mean, LA, there's a million things to do, so that's awesome.
Hmm.
But you've been. I don't know how many times you've been on the various forms of the podcast. You're probably one of the most popular
I
guests.
it might be a third. I did one in
That's it.
person one time.
Yeah, one in person. Yeah,
One in
but
person.
I'm so happy to have you on here. Not just because there's news to talk about. In fact, I almost wish there wasn't news to talk about. We could just kind of goof off for 30 minutes. But we saw this come across the wire a couple weeks ago. Wanted to talk about it. It's a hot topic, and I think whenever you get quoted in a press release with Qualtrics, that's big news. And so wanted to talk about the headline is Qualtrics and PureSpectrum partner to deliver advanced synthetic research capabilities. And so, I'd love to have you on here to talk about it. What's going on with the partnership? You've already had a partnership with Qualtrics, for those that don't know, but this just expands it. And so let's hear about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're thrilled about it. Long time partnership with Qualtrics, and they are a leading company in not just our space, but the cousin spaces, like the spaces when you tell people what you do when you meet them, they're like, "Oh, you send me the surveys after my Delta flight," and yeah, that's not what I do, but that's what Qualtrics does. So, I mean, they are great to work with, and we learn a lot. We use their technology too for those things, and then I think there have been a number of companies, small and large, that are on the synthetic data or the respondent side. And then obviously there's the AI into the synthetic insights and agents helping on the research side. And I think we could talk about all that stuff because It is interesting, certainly scary for some people, but I think for our space, you got to look at it with optimism because getting investment into the space or interesting people who are wanting to work in it, I think we have to be exploring these technologies. And then, so the partnership on the synthetic data side is PureSpectrum's in a unique place to collect a lot of data. We see tons of respondents go through, and many, unfortunately, and I think that this was part of you guys. We can talk about your last episode too. I want to make sure you're doing well. Almost did a wellness check on you, but most people don't complete the survey that they were going to, right? And so it's a terminated session. Often a lot of panels for retention and the experience of the panelists will compensate for an attempted survey, as you guys probably on panels and know. I don't know if that's a practice you do, but we started creating what we would call micro surveys, or built a on the way out, offering the respondent the opportunity to answer a couple of questions and be compensated for that, and work with all the panel companies to have it in their the currency, and so that the account's credited. And maybe it's already happening and now we're just subsidizing it, but that's where we're able to collect a lot of data. And because we can recognize, remember, and see people come back, even if they come from different panels, and that's part of what our technology does, then we can start to build these question profiles. And so we offer that attribute data to Qualtrics, who they are building personas and synthetic models on foundational models, but then they have access to huge volumes of data through those cousin entity, or cousin products and the work that they do. And so I think that they're also in a great position to have a lot of data. They got a lot of smart people working there, and they're putting investment behind it. And then we give them the human data to finally tune those models and refresh it in real time. Because I think that that's been on LinkedIn or things, some of the early feedback about synthetic insights and synthetic models, or just large language models in general, is that they track to the middle and they want to please. They never say they don't know. They want to offer up an answer. I think that that's kind of the experience of those chat products is that nature. So insights are messier than that, and having human data to fine tune the models to help it reflect human responses is something that I think will make it better. But so that's the nature of the partnership. And then on the flip side, when we have customers that are interested in synthetic insights, because we don't have a model, we're not building or offering that. We refer customers over to speak with Qualtrics about it to learn more. And I think everybody should take up on that opportunity because they're doing interesting stuff in the space. And then there's currently not the ability, although working on it, looking into it, I just don't have what a timeline would be to actually, our model is, we have panels and sources that send respondents through our system to people buying sample, and they can see all those sources and make selections on it. There's no synthetic source in that group yet.
Yeah.
And so it's not the Qualtrics one. You couldn't log into our platform and buy, those
Right.
personas or, digital twins, if that
Okay.
ended up being the manifestation. So on that side, it's a referral. But yeah.
Okay. Very good.
And it was a soliloquy, so I'll stop there. Maybe
That was good. I want to go back to, you said that you're asking people to go through your system. If they term,
Yeah.
they get a couple of questions, and you can look at that longitudinally. So if they come back the next day or a week later, and then you have a battery, and eventually someone might answer 40 questions or 8 questions, and you're continuously live feeding that to Qualtrics to build on that profile of that individual person. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's a terminated survey that was not terminated for a quality reason.
Yeah.
And they
Qualify.
Yeah, and they were only in the survey for a set amount of time. So
Right.
kind of a lot of the rules of like early routing
Yeah. Not a 12-minute
But
screen term.
yeah, exactly. Like, and I don't know how much that really happens anymore, but those early rules of routing applied to, but and then there's the opt-in. They can say no.
No, that's really cool. Very thoughtful. How long have you been doing that?
We've been collecting that data for 4 months.
Okay. Relatively new. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, relatively new. Yeah, when we um launched that, it took us a while to build that.
Yeah.
And once everything was set up, then starting to turn on the data because it's data collection.
Yeah.
So, David, one of the things that we've talked about when we're just kind of noodling around with synthetic sample is that we kind of see like two different use cases. And I've seen one where there's sort of a blank synthetic panel product. So someone would run a primary survey and then use that data that is 100% topical in different profiles to then either expand on the data set overall or to expand on particular niche populations within that. So it essentially becomes like a modeling software to increase difficult to reach groups. It sounds to me though like this partnership is designed to create a synthetic panel that would be the primary response to a survey. Is that true?
I think that both use cases are something, and now I'm speaking for Qualtrics, which if you guys want them on, I can try and
Make
work
it
some
happen.
magic. Yeah, but I think that both of those use cases. But yes, I think that we've done experiments or worked with them, or they've shared data, and I think that they have examples on their website with brand companies where they're doing the full survey, and the use case there might be because it is sensitive content. You think about some of the issues, and an AI can't watch a video yet, and I don't think you'd necessarily use it for this, but my limited working, like trailer testing is always that high security stuff because if it gets leaked online. So items like that, more of concepts, but if it's proprietary, if it's sensitive, then running lots of tests on those various ideas without having to expose it to people that can go to Reddit and talk about it is useful in the full use case. And then I think that on the adoption curve, the use case you discussed and filling in and hard to reach gaps is probably where acceptance happens more quickly, right? In the space.
That's very interesting. I think when Brian and I have talked about this before, both on the podcast and with clients, our point of view has sort of been, okay, we understand how this would work with modeling, but that the amount of data that it would take to build and train a panel that is not responding to like a particular survey data set that's already been completed is that it would just be like a Herculean effort, so much data in order to train that panel accurately. And in some of the early tests that we've seen, and no one really says where they're getting it from and all, I think it may be some alarmists kind of running things through and saying, look, it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It seems to me like the traffic that you're getting and the traffic that Qualtrics is getting, that's a lot of data to train synthetic panelists. Could you give us a sense for like weekly volume of people who are taking these surveys that you're using to calibrate the synthetic panel?
I can't comment on all the data that they are incorporating, but volume is, I think, an advantage that they have. And, one of the challenges, but I think it's, where we're able to offer it and do it competitively is identifying people who are coming back and taking surveys with a frequency where you can stitch together, hundreds of attributes to them. But that number is, tens and tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, at this stage in a market.
You're saying tens of thousands who've completed longitudinally. where
Mhm.
you have multiple records so that then you can start to build these correlations of if respondent X answered question Y this way, they also answered question Z that way. And is that tens of thousands in total over the last 4 months or
Well,
per
you got to
week or yeah.
you have to monthly, and you have to replace records where you cease to be able to, collect fresh data.
Mm.
But so the total number of respondents that it's been done on versus who's the respondent from day one that's still submitting data to it. I don't know that number.
Mhm.
Gotta circle back.
Yeah. Well, and I guess then, okay, so when someone's terminated, they're offered this short calibration survey. Do you know offhand, and I'm sorry because I'm asking you for hard numbers, but these are the questions people are going to ask us as well.
Yeah,
Like, how many people are terminated in PureSpectrum on any given day? It's got to be a ton, right?
hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people globally, right? We're doing this today in the United States, and want to do it for a little while as a proof of concept to make sure that the data is adding value to the model. So if I had to back into it, that would be in the US, I would say 500,000 terminations a
Yeah.
day.
That's plenty of data.
And
Even
I
if
mean,
10 to 20% of people take you up
that's
on your
not people,
offer.
right? Because then
Right.
there's a distribution curve of people who are, and I think that that's a product, and kind of on the data quality topic. One positive thing that we've seen in the data quality world, I think, is that for years and years, and you guys were um, probably talking about this, 10 years ago, was that surveys need to be shorter and more engaging, and I think we've seen um, an explosion of that in the
Hmm.
from market research companies, both traditional and your upstarts, your more tech enabled, and the data we have on surveys that are 6 to 10 minutes, that are 2 to 6 minutes, under 2 minutes, have grown at a much much higher rate, whereas the surveys that are over 15 minutes and over 20 minutes have been relatively flat in volume, so a smaller percentage of it all the time. And so people are taking and attempting to take multiple surveys because taking 4 or 5 minute surveys is in many ways a much better experience than taking one 20-minute survey. And I think that that has data quality
Mhm.
implications and should be, a rising tide for data quality across the industry.
I just have one more question. Well, this is really a comment. When looking at kind of building on what Andrew was asking about your training data, which is what you're calling it, which is cool. The dimensions that you're training people on, and as a researcher, I think this is pretty well rounded. Not just demos. It's location and mobility, health and wellness, sentiment, emotional attributes, cultural backgrounds, financial behavior, behavioral attributes, psychographics, and so I'm assuming that's kind of randomized and prioritized and things like that. But if you get one person to answer all of those questions, that's a pretty thorough profile. And particularly, and I'm going to focus on the underserved people, the 18 to 24-year-old males, the uncultured Hispanics, especially. I'm assuming you all are trying to really prioritize them because there's probably a huge opportunity there. Because you're not competing really against anybody because there's a limited amount of information about them. And to me, that's one of the cases I can really get on board with of synthetic data, or someone called that some sort of very sophisticated weighting.
Hmm.
But I think it's really fascinating. What you all are doing that's really good, well rounded.
I agree. And that was, I think, Andrew, that's what you were talking about, that the sophisticated weighting is probably you know, an early entrant of it. And then listen, I don't think multi-million dollar decisions are going to be made wholly on these data sets anytime in the
Yeah,
near future. Um, it may well in the further out, but I think it can help people iterate faster. And like I said about the sensitive content, or do things before developing questionnaires and concepts that would allow at the cost and scale to do things quicker. And there's a number of companies working on it, but we're really excited about the Qualtrics opportunity. And then, on the other side of the space, I think we talk a lot about, disruption to online respondents and sample, but I also think on the agentic research side, there's really cool stuff going on, again, from companies big and small.
Yeah.
I think Zappy is doing really cool stuff with, their normative databases and concept testing with AI agents. And and so on the research side, there's a lot of cool items too.
Are you able to speak to any early side by sides that you've seen of this panel, the synthetic panel, compared to real respondents, or are you still kind of collecting data, training the personas, training the models, and that type of research hasn't been done yet?
I can't speak to those. I haven't seen that. I have listened to a couple of calls where the head of research from Qualtrics and the head of research from an insights company are discussing this. And if multitasking, I don't understand a word of it. If focusing in, with a cup of coffee, I catch some of it. It is, I wouldn't be the one, even if I had the data in front of me, probably the one to comment on those side by sides. I'm just the president.
Well, you came on. This is just announced, and you've just been building this for a few months. We appreciate it. Are you joining them? It looks like the Qualtrics is doing a road show to kind of promote this all over the country. Are you be joining them for any of this?
I hope to attend, at least one of them, not just to learn, but Qualtrics is a experience management. So,
Yeah.
they put on a show. It's a good one.
Absolutely, you
think
never know.
I think that's a great opportunity. They're coming to your, to a town near you. I actually haven't seen the list.
It's Boston, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Atlanta, Seattle, all in the next month or so throughout September. So that's kind of cool.
Wow. It's a shame they're not coming to Cincinnati.
Why wouldn't they come to Cincinnati? Come
Why
on.
when they come to Cincinnati? I was thinking about, if I had to do like, lesser known towns to visit as a traveling salesman, Covington is where, I like to stay in Covington because Cincy's a big town, it's the little town.
Yeah, Cincinnati's the
Awesome.
metropolitan.
Yeah, that's the metropolitan if you want the, the taste of the small town.
Come to Covington.
Out where our headquarters is, Westlake Village, there's a lot of great stuff there. So,
Well, cool. Thanks for sharing that. I know you had a couple questions for us, and we want to do a rant before you get off of here. So yeah, let's
well, I think
have a little fun.
we covered it on the data quality side. Like I said, I was checking in. I wanted to
Oh.
make sure. I listen. You guys bring up a lot of good points, and particularly about, that's where the pain is for researchers today, is how much time and effort they have to put in, because they are cleaning and that's part of their role. And I think, obviously we need to reduce the time that they're doing that, but it's also an area where I think AI can help, and where researchers are still adding value with context and nuance that it's going to take a long time and serious investment for AI to learn to do what researchers do on being able to understand where data quality looks, or where the data doesn't look like they expect it to, and being able to figure that out. So,
well,
I'm an optimist. There's always going to be challenges, but then it gives us the opportunity to, solve them, and that gives companies like yours and mine roles too.
absolutely. I'm an optimist too, despite that 30-minute rant that we did. That was, I think, of all the podcasts we've done, I guess close to 10 years, that's only the second or third one that we had to have people listen to it. Like, is this okay? Are we in the right mindset?
No.
We cut part of it.
Oh man.
Yeah, there was a solution that we cut that I think that we named some names that we probably shouldn't have. Andrew was particularly. I think it was good though. Andrew re-listened to it too as well, and I don't know. I think all researchers go through moments of, oh wow, I need to rant for a little bit, and then we come down to earth for a little bit, and okay, let's put it in perspective. Let's work on solutions, those types of things. But I think we need to get it off our chest. I think that's what.
And I was listening to it on 1.5, so it sounded more intense.
Yeah, nice.
It definitely got a little intense there.
There were some good pauses though, even at 1.5. Some profound pauses. About
Pauses are key.
Yeah. emphasis.
Are you gonna? How people can reach you at D Butler? Is that right?
D Butler, yeah, PureSpectrum, yeah.
Off
There's
the top of my head, I knew that for some reason.
already David when I joined, and there's three Davids at the company. We're all David B's. So
I think I emailed them all in the past week or so. So sorry.
we should have them all on. David Boyajian and David Bryan are not just great people to hang out with, but they have very fascinating. And David Boyajian actually has a little bit of a content podcast on AI. Plug that. AI
Yeah,
Made
there you go.
Easy.
Plug
The
that.
newsletter with podcast.
Nice.
I think he's got another one. It's cross promotional.
Yeah, do that.
I'll get him to drop Signal and Noise.
You have a rant you'd like to go to today? Because I have one.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'd like to hear yours. It was I think I ranted about best efforts the first time I was put on, but this one's a little more less researchery, but just as soft of a rant, you know. Which is there are several things with calendars and timing that I don't enjoy, and I would rant or ask people to fix them. One is when you're sharing the time that you're working in, I think it's polite to speak in the other person's time zone. So I think that's one. And two, when you do it, and this is probably the peak of the rant, is that I find that people, particularly this time of year, will say they want to meet at 11 a.m. EST. Well, it's not standard time in, most places right now. And there's just no need to add an extra letter to make it wrong. It's like you're getting fancy, and then by doing that, you're tripping up. And I think that's a great lesson for everybody. It's just keep it simple. It's ET all year. That's all you need to do. Okay. And then the third one, this is really the softest, is that like setting a meeting for my lunch hour is I can't stand it.
Well, you generally
I can do 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. all day long, but noon that's criminal.
Well, you live in New Orleans, so you're Central Time, and so you always have to deal with this. And now you're in Pacific Time, and that probably gets really complicated. I completely agree with everything you said. That's a good rant.
Yeah,
I'd recommend Central Time also as a plug for anybody who hasn't tried it. Just try Central Time.
Well,
It's excellent.
have you tried Mountain? Mountain Time is surprisingly really good. I think Central and Mountain are probably the best too.
Yeah. Mountain only covers like 7% of the country, so the
Denver,
population.
mountains,
So
that's
it is overlooked.
It's really overlooked. Only a couple baseball teams play in Mountain time zones. That's the only reason I know it.
That's right.
Andrew, what, you have opinions on time zones?
yeah, no, I do, as someone who travels a lot as well, and who has clients all over, and frequently I'm, where in the world is Carmen San Diego? Where in the world is Andrew DeSillis, and what time zone am I in now? No, I agree with what you said, and it's funny because someone just commented to me the other day how much they appreciate that I always talk to them in their time zone when I'm trying to set a meeting. So I think we should all definitely do that. I'm going to add to this rant though.
Yeah.
Yep. There are scheduling assistants in all of our calendars. Don't double book me. Just don't do it. And if you have like a sneaking suspicion of maybe that's an admin block, maybe it's an internal meeting, and you think your meeting is more important than the blank meeting that you don't actually know what I'm doing, don't just assume that your meeting is more important. And reach out to me, just ping me, let's talk about it. And I will bold underline the lunch hour meetings, because particularly like with our headquarters, my two favorite times for a meeting are 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I think those are just great times for a meeting. Get your work done in the morning. Then you have your first meeting, or 2 p.m. You're right in the middle of the afternoon. Give you some time to wrap up before close of business. And my colleagues in Denver apparently very much agree that 10 a.m. is a great time for a meeting,
right? Yeah.
Which is noon/lunchtime here over in Indiana and the greater Cincinnati area. So,
well,
sometimes it can't be avoided, but
let me add.
I'm gonna add on to that. Yeah,
let's do time zone rants. I've got one.
Yeah.
I agree with the lunch meetings. I hate them. I've blocked off my lunch for a long time, and I even block off 4 to 5 p.m. And my joke was I don't do numbers after 4 o'clock. My brain can't do numbers after 4. And I used to have a close sign on my desk. I would close. Insights is closed um, after 4 o'clock. So I try to block off time for work. Like 9 to 10, I'm usually working. That's when my brain's really going strong. So I block it off. Block off lunch. Block off 4 to 5. I'm only available for a couple hours a day for meetings. I'll open it up for clients. It makes it a lot easier for clients too, because the day before, oh, we've got an urgent client call. I've got lots of time available. We'll obviously make time available for a client at lunch if we need to do that. I'm always available. So let's just keep going. What else about time zones, David?
It's just, I mean, you've made it when you're blocking it off. That's
Hey, what's that? You're doing all
it's a
right.
sign. You made it when you can block it off. I'm only, I live in New Orleans, so I block off Friday lunch. So
Oh,
it's not always taken, but there's often an opportunity.
I did a Friday lunch once. What's the primary place where Friday lunch is?
The most famous would be
Yeah,
Galatoire's.
yeah, Galatoire's. I went to Galatoire's for Friday lunch, and I actually paid a couple people to sit out there because it was right before
Old pro.
it was when the Saints won the Super Bowl. They had the Thursday night football game to open the next season. I think it was against Minnesota and Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I think this
No,
is all true.
you're nailing it.
And that Friday, we were going to Friday lunch, and it was 180 degrees and 180% humidity, and we paid a couple of people to sit out there for us. And I had the time of my life at Galatoire's. And then there's a post Friday lunch at a bar across the street.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the name of it, but
Old Absinthe House.
yeah, Old Absinthe House. And so that was, I highly recommend. I can't do all the drinking I used to do, but the experience of you go in and you kind of don't want to break the unwritten rules, and so you wait to follow what the other people do, and like you don't order food for a couple of hours. Like you kind of have to play by those rules. Fascinating. What a unique experience.
It's a good bar for salespeople. Their walls decorated with business cards. I've
Yeah.
actually gotten a couple leads there from some research agents. Called it up, said I saw your card in Old Absinthe House. So normally I retired 5 years ago.
Had to go buy a tie.
Very good.
Was there on I was just there on vacation. But anyway, Andrew, you have another rant, or was this a sufficient rant? The time zone round robin rant.
I think we
the first ever round robin rant we've ever
Yeah,
done.
this is a great rant. And if you've listened this far, thank you so much for hanging on. We do want to keep our timeliness of the episodes good. Brian, why don't you end us off with your rant?
Oh, I can't top the time zone, but I will. My rant is conferences. I'm just not sure in the value of conferences sometimes. I think a lot of times people go just for the networking and the free drinks, and that's fine. A lot of people, salespeople there, that's a core need for a salesperson. I'm at the point where I want education. I want to learn something, and I want and the conferences aren't designed that way. They're designed to get people there to make a little money, and if they can get a big brand to speak, even if especially if it's a big brand co-presenting with a vendor, which seems to be that's ideal for a lot of people. That attracts people to the conference because they think they can work with them, and the content may not be that good. Could be showing off a product that the vendor is using. I just don't think it's the best for our industry. I wish it was more educational. I know some conferences are more educational than others. And I know that they're all for profit. It's not like a nonprofit doing this. So it's just frustrating sometimes. I know a lot of people don't go to conferences anymore. And I wonder if we made them more educational. If we had a half day on data quality, best practices, and another half day on trends in AI and how all these companies are using synthetic data and artificial intelligence that aren't salesy, I think you'd get a much bigger attendance. And I know I'm not the first person to say this is an original rant, but it was top of mind.
Yeah. I do think that Insights Association with their one-day events, I went to the MR one. They have an AI one. They have an AI one in LA, and it was a lot of content. So I think they might be onto something there. Big cities,
right. The
jam-packed. Yeah.
They had one in data quality. It was
Yeah.
much educational. They had one in healthcare. The AI, I think we're going to be out in LA. Much
Nice.
better. And so maybe that is the industry kind of evolving towards education.
Yeah. We're trying it out, seeing what the feedback is. So
And attendance
there's
seems
hope.
very high. So if they can sell out those things, one-day conferences, then we'll keep them going. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Guys,
Dave,
thanks so much for having me on. It's great to see you again.
reach out to D Butler at PureSpectrum.com or to Qualtrics if you have questions. It's really cool stuff. You'll see a road show from Qualtrics soon to talk more about it. That'll be kind of a interesting thing that I know that I'll attend. Andrew, you gonna be anywhere anytime soon? Are you going to CRC?
I have not booked any tickets for anything yet. I think I might actually not be at CRC, but there's a lot of other conferences floating around. Like you said, the IAAI event coming up, maybe there, and maybe in a city near you, just kind of visiting clients. But yeah, my fall has not been cemented yet. Particularly because we're going to need to be at headquarters several times in late Q3, Q4. But yeah, always reach out to me. Chances are you could run into me at an airport at any time. So just let me know when you want to meet, and I'll be around.
Awesome. David, thanks again for joining us. Andrew, as always, good to see you, and thanks for listening, everybody.